replay from the Jungle King himself, Griffin Tarzan. I know you guys will love this one, so let's jump straight into it. In this Challenger replay, Tarzan is playing Taliyah jungle against Sylas. The first step to winning is to analyze your lane matchups at the beginning of the game, so you can determine where you want to start and what path you're going to take. Let's follow Tarzan through this process. In bot lane, he has Ezreal Yuumi against Caitlyn Lux. Ezreal and Yuumi lack hard crowd control to help set up ganks, while Caitlyn and Lux have escapes, shielding, and crowd control of their own. Overall, this lane is going to be difficult to gank as Taliyah. In mid lane, we have Renekton against Mordekaiser. Renekton has hard crowd control with his W stun, while also having to engage with his E dash. At the same time, the enemy Mordekaiser lacks any form of escape. This lane has really high gank potential. In top lane, we have Kled against Camille. Both are scrappy bruisers that will trade a lot, and Kled has engaged with his E as well as some crowd control with his Q. However, Camille does have a really solid escape with her E ability, so ganks will only work when it's on cooldown. Overall, this lane has medium gank potential. So to summarize, bot lane has low gank potential, mid has high gank potential, and top has medium gank potential. Now, as we've taught you, you always want to start on the opposite side you want to gank, this way you path towards that lane. But what do you do if the lane you want to gank is mid? Where do you start? This is what you're about to learn. Tarzan chooses to start at his red buff, and we're going to see exactly why. He does this so that he can clear his Krugs and Raptors afterwards, the camps worth the most golden experience of any camp, and allows him to hit level 3 off of 3 camps instead of the usual 4. Now with his entire red side jungle cleared, he's going to execute a transition gank on mid. A transition gank is simply when instead of just moving to one side of your jungle to the other, you take a detour through mid lane to execute a gank in the process. It's a small time investment with the potential for a huge payoff. This is a great route to take if you identify mid lane as having the most gank potential. You have a red buff early, which makes your auto attack slow and do more damage. You clear your Krugs and Raptors, which gives the most golden experience. And you hit level 3, so you have access to all 3 of your abilities as you gank mid. Take note of how Tarzan is waiting patiently in this brush to execute the transition gank. Tell me, what do you think he's waiting for? Do you see that siege minion that's low on health? He's timing his gank for when Mordekaiser goes up to last hit it. This is a great technique to use when ganking. Move in right as the enemy goes to last hit a minion. Unfortunately, since the enemy Mordekaiser is Challenger, he strategically gives up the CS as Renekton moves forward, avoiding certain death. Tarzan doesn't give up though. Since he's already committed a bit of time to the gank, he waits a second for the remaining CS to see if Mordekaiser walks up to get stunned by Renekton. Sure enough, he does, which ends up not only setting up a kill for Tarzan, but also getting Mordekaiser's flash. The fact that Mordekaiser, a champion with no escapes, is now down flash against Renekton, someone with a point and click stun on his W and a gap close on his E, means that Tarzan will look to land a repeat gank in the future. After this, he kills the scuttle that has spawned into clearing his blue, wolves, and Gromp. If we check our lanes, which you should always be doing as a jungler, we can see something peculiar mid. Renekton is building up a big wave that will crash into Mordekaiser's tower. What do you think Tarzan should do here? He can recall to spend his gold on items, or head mid to tower dive Mordekaiser with a big wave. Remember, we know Mordekaiser has no flash, while Renekton has great gank setup. This is how we know we should head mid to land a repeat gank in the form of a tower dive. As we've taught you before, tower dives are one of the most punishing kinds of ganks. Take a look at how many minions the enemy Mordekaiser will lose now that he's dead. Now with Tarzan's Krugs and Raptors having respawned, and with his red buff soon to follow, he recalls and heads to clear them. After he kills Krugs, he's level 6. A rule we've taught you before is to always compare your level as a jungler to the solo laners. In this case, Tarzan is even in levels with his solo laners. If you're ever even or ahead in levels of solo laners, then it means you need to start ganking over farming. You're essentially over leveled. This is because jungle camps won't give you the experience necessary to keep up in levels with the solo laners if you continue to farm them. You're better off looking to gank, gaining golden experience from kills, and soaking minions after. Then, once you're behind a level on the solo laners, can look to pick up jungle camps again. Tarzan knows this, so after he kills his Krugs, he immediately looks to gank top to impact the lane before he has to path away from it. This results in him picking up a quick and easy kill on the enemy Camille. After this, again because he's over leveled, he doesn't go back to farming, he heads straight mid to look to gank there, with Taliyah's ultimate while Mordekaiser's flash is still on cooldown. Mordekaiser is playing too safe for it to work out though, and Tarzan instead changes focus to the enemy Sylas, who's only level 5 taking the scuttle. He picks up a kill on him, as well as the scuttle. He then sees how the enemy bot lane is overextended. Again, he's ahead in experience since he's the same level as solo laners, so looks to gank over farm. This results in getting a kill on the enemy Lux and getting Caitlyn's flash, although he does die in the process. As Tarzan respawns, take a look at the in-game time. We can see it's nearing the 10-minute mark. Between the 0 and 10-minute mark, you want to be looking to establish gold leads primarily through farming and ganking. However, once it gets past the 10-minute mark, you need to start looking to convert your gold lead into more global objectives. Why is this? Well, one huge reason is that death timers are now longer, which gives you the time needed to take objectives after getting kills. For example, Tarzan takes his red, then Raptors, into ganking mid again. He then uses the pick to finally take the dragon. Now, there are 3 main objectives you're looking to take once the 10-minute mark hits: Dragon, Rift Herald, and Tower Plates. Tarzan just took the dragon, and the Rift Herald is about to spawn, but what do we mean by turret plates? Well, turret plates are worth 160 gold each, which is insane as that means 2 of them are worth more than a kill. However, at 14 minutes, turret plates fall. We want to identify our winning lane and look to apply more ganks so that we can convert kills, which now have a longer death timer, into those super valuable turret plates. After the dragon, Tarzan takes his blue and the nearby scuttle, but then immediately heads mid, which is his winning lane. This allows his mid laner to get 2 turret plates from the pressure he's applying. Then, as soon as Mordekaiser has come back to lane, Tarzan ganks again, getting his mid laner the final turret plate and destroying the tower. This is huge, and is the first step to transitioning into the next phase of the game. You see, by getting the outer tower of your winning lane, you extend the length of the lane to the following tower. This frees up your winning teammate to push waves further, which then causes the enemy to take longer to push them back and pressure your tower. This will give your winning lane a bigger timing window that they can use to roam, gank lanes, invade the enemy's jungle, essentially start converting their lead that they got in their lane to the rest of the map. With taking the dragon and the outer tower destroyed in the winning lane, tell me, what's the last objective for Tarzan to take during this phase of the game? It's the Rift Herald, which Tarzan immediately passes towards and takes. Now, as we said, the first phase of the game is from 0 to 10 minutes and is defined by farming and ganking. The second phase of the game is from 10 to 15 minutes and is defined by taking Dragon, Turret Plates, and Rift Herald. And now we enter the third phase, which is from 15 to 20 minutes. We'll be looking to accomplish 2 things during this time. First is to destroy all of the remaining outer towers, and second is to take any dragons that spawn. In this case, an Infernal Dragon spawns, which is by far the most valuable dragon. Tarzan moves to take it, but the enemy is defending. Take note of how Tarzan's entire team is grouped for this fight. Remember, even when you're ahead, you need to check for number advantages. If Tarzan didn't have all 5 of his teammates, then he wouldn't look to take this fight. But with his team being ahead, he knows he should win even-numbered fights, which is why he chooses to engage. He dies in the ensuing team fight, but with his team's gold advantage, they clean up the remaining enemies and take the Infernal Dragon afterwards. This leaves only one objective left for Tarzan: destroy the remaining outer towers. If we check the minimap as we respawn, we can see both top and bot tower are still alive. How do we know which one we should focus? It's quite simple. Simply check their health levels and look to target the one with the lowest health, as it will be the easiest to take. In this case, it's top tower. This is why Tarzan heads top to push in a siege minion wave that eventually destroys the top tower on its own. He then recalls. Now tell me, where do you think Tarzan is going to head to next? The bottom side of the map to take the last outer tower. He's now successfully navigated this phase of the game, securing all dragons that spawned and destroying all outer towers. The next phase of the game is about to begin at the 20-minute mark, as this is when Baron spawns. It's at this point you want to shift your focus to controlling vision around Baron. You do this by placing control wards and using your sweeping lens to deny the enemy vision. You can see Tarzan himself clear vision and place a control ward on Baron. Once the enemy has no vision of Baron, they'll be forced to reward it so that they can check if you're doing it. This is when you make a pick on them, using the element of surprise and your gold lead to win the fight. With the enemy dead, and them having no vision of Baron, you can immediately turn to take it. Controlling vision and taking Baron is the key to ending games in a clean and efficient fashion. With Baron buff, Tarzan team is able to easily take down turrets into destroying the enemy's nexus. Alright, now you know how the best jungler in the world carries games from start to finish. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. As always, good luck and have fun.